Ever looked back and wondered, what if? I'm Mame, and I'm about to take you on a journey of regret, longing, the complexities of the human heart, and the ultimate question, was it worth it? Emmanuel and I had been together for 5 years. He was everything I had ever hoped for in a partner, attentive, loving, and kind. Our families were close, and at times we would cohabit. Life seemed perfect, or at least it did. But sometimes, perfection comes at the cost of something more elusive, the spark. It all began with an office retreat. Our company had organized a getaway for the young employees, a chance to unwind from the daily grind and reconnect with ourselves outside the confines of work. Emmanuel couldn't come along because it was mainly for employees, and no plus one was allowed. I packed a few things, thinking it would be just a short trip, nothing to worry about. But sometimes, even the smallest changes can trigger something much larger. The resort was breathtaking, nestled deep within the lush landscapes of a coastal town. The air smelled of adventure and freedom, and for the first time in a long while, I felt unburdened. It was there that I met Tony, a successful entrepreneur in his 30s. He was charismatic, full of life, and had an effortless way of making people laugh. His energy was infectious, and before I knew it, I found myself drawn to him in ways I hadn't felt in a long time. Conversations with him were easy, natural, and I laughed more in a few days than I had in the last few months. The more I spoke to Tony, the more I felt the invisible gap that had formed between Emmanuel and me. Tony invited me out with a group of colleagues for an evening by the beach, and despite the little voice in my head warning me, I went. The night was amazing. Music, waves crashing in the background, the laughter of carefree souls. We danced, we talked, and for the first time in a long time, I felt seen in a way I hadn't felt with Emmanuel in a while. Back home, the routine with Emmanuel continued, but something had changed within me. Derek and I kept in touch, texting late into the night, sharing jokes and thoughts that I hadn't shared with Emmanuel in what felt like years. The connection was undeniable, but so was the guilt. Fast forward, Emmanuel noticed the change, and the questions came. Small, seemingly innocent, but they felt like a mirror reflecting my own unease. He could tell something was off. But instead of communicating my feelings, I began to shut down. The truth was, I had fallen out of sync with Emmanuel, but I wasn't brave enough to admit it. One night, the truth hit me like a slap in the face. Derek sent a message reminiscing about our time at the resort, and it read, "I can't stop thinking about our night by the beach, the way we lost ourselves in the moment, the way your laughter mixed with the sound of the waves. I've never felt anything like that before, and I know you haven't either. I can still feel your touch, your presence. I can't wait to relive it." Emmanuel saw the pop-up and read the message while I was asleep. He waited for me to wake up, and he put the question to me. I could see the hurt in his eyes, a hurt I had caused. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice soft but filled with deep pain. I didn't know how to respond. 5 years of love, memories, and shared moments, and I was now standing at the edge of it all. "It's been too long," I finally said. "The spark is gone, Emmanuel. I think I need something new." I saw the heartbreak in his eyes, and I felt it in my own chest. I was hurting him, but I was also hurting myself. The truth was, I had stopped trying. I had stopped communicating. I had stopped respecting what we once had. The next day, I decided to see Tony, hoping to understand where I stood with him. But what I saw shook me to my core. Tony was outside, laughing with a beautiful woman, his arms wrapped around her in a way that spoke of deep familiarity. I stood frozen, my heart racing in disbelief. Tony was taken? He had a wife? Everything had been a lie. I had allowed myself to get lost in a moment, in a fleeting spark, while ignoring the solid foundation I had with Emmanuel. I returned home, my mind in a whirlwind. The answer wasn't simple, but that was the moment I realized that no amount of excitement or newness could replace what I had lost by neglecting my relationship. Tony had never been the man I thought he was, and in chasing that thrill, I had neglected the one person who had always been there for me. It doesn't matter how long you've been in a relationship. What matters is the commitment to communicate openly, to respect each other, and to love each other in a way that keeps the bond alive. The spark isn't something that fades or comes and goes. It's something that is maintained through understanding, patience, and effort. Emmanuel deserved more than I had given him. He deserved a partner who was willing to work through difficulties, to communicate openly about needs and emotions. It wasn't about looking for someone new. It was about reigniting the connection with the person who was already there. But I had let things slide, and now the relationship was in shambles because I had failed to nurture it. Now, I don't know what to do. How do I go back to Emmanuel to apologize with the hopes that everything would magically be fixed? Where do I start from? I need to take responsibility for my actions, to apologize, and to know the way forward. But how do I make this happen? This is my dilemma.